Hey everybody, this is my third video, and I'm going to call it "Turn Off Your TV Set, You're Mind Free." Basically, I want to cover just the basic points about TV, mainstream media, and all these programming your mind. Basically, have you ever noticed how the mainstream media always has the same newsreaders? These are newsreaders that some of us have known since a child. And the reason why they do that is because these newsreaders, their faces, their voices, their tones, we've got used to. We take what they say as being the truth because we've known them since we were a child, or we've known them for many years. So what this does is it enables them to perfect what they say, the tone they say it in, and gets people's attention, makes their ears sort of prick up on end and go, right, what's he saying? So even when you're walking through a room, they can change the tone of their voice to a monotone sort of level, where when they're telling really serious stuff, like in Syria today, and they keep that same monotone, and it makes people listen in. And then when they get to the bits that are maybe, you know, they want to feed you with stupid, it's usually junk news, I call it. It's stupid little things that makes no difference to anything in the world. Like it could be someone's had a pet that's done something amazing or something. They hire their tones, and basically what they're doing is they're feeding you information and trying to sink it into your subconscious, and it works really well, because it's not until one day you wake up and you realise that when you're watching all this news, one day you think to yourself, of all the news I've ever heard and all the stuff I've ever had and all the fear, remember we're controlled by fear, most of us are, this has never actually had an impact on my life directly, in my friends circle or my life, right? So let's say, for instance, you know, 4 people set off some bombs in London, 7/7. They've managed to feed off of that and take away all of our freedoms just on the back of that. And the way they've done it is to make us follow all around the world and go to war with everybody, these terrorists. And this has created fear in most of the population, because what they're telling us, we're used to being, or thinking it's true. And what it does, when you create the fear, the population are easier to control. So what you end up with is a situation where everybody's in a state of fear, everybody's going around, don't know what to do. But in actual fact, it comes from nothing. It is nothing. It's something that's going on around the other side of the world that may affect us at some point in the future, but that's not there yet. What you have to remember is, like me and a lot of other people come from an era where the IRA was setting off bombs all over England, and as a child many times I had to evacuate shopping centres and things like that because they've had an IRA threat, a genuine threat. Now, that never stopped our way of life. It never took away our freedoms, and we never bowed down to it. We never got that fear. But what's happened now is, now they want the fear because they want to create wars, reasons for revenue. They now are inducing that fear by putting it all over the news. So when you get something happen, when a newsreader stands there and they've got scenery behind them, they're told where to stand for the most dramatic effects. Maybe bombs going off, this, that, there's bombs going off over there. Stand there, have the bombs going off over your shoulder, duck a bit when you hear the bombs go off, read the news in a heightened state of voice, and make it seem really serious. And what this does is it makes everybody live in fear, easier to control. When you're in fear, you're easier to control. When you start to see through the rubbish is when you start to think, I mean, this is something I want everybody to do at some point this week or some point today, is to switch off your TV set, walk outside your front door, go into your gardens, your balcony, wherever you are, out in the fresh air, sit down or just stand there, look around, and try and think of how all the things that you've had pushed on you over the years on the news has actually affected your life in any way whatsoever, apart from what you've heard through the news. And then you start to think, hang on a minute, I could have had all those years without fear, all those years without talking about, you know, the latest craze, ISIS or Al Qaeda, all the people we fund basically, and then told our enemies. And what that does is it makes you start to view the news, and you look at the news report and you start to get angry. And this anger, you need to point in the right direction. You need to point this anger at switching off the TV and not being able to stand, because there comes a point where you can't actually stand even being in the same room as the newsreaders. So you know, they're reading something on the TV and you can hear it. You can't even be there anymore, because you realise that you're being indoctrinated into this fear cycle. And all they need to do when they get you in a state of fear, and I've seen it many times, even with close friends, very, very clever people, and they've fallen for it. What they do, they get you in this state of fear, and then all they have to do is grab you by the shoulders and turn you around and go, it's them, go, you know, kill. There's been more lives lost by our governments putting us into wars than there ever has through terrorist attacks on our soil. And I mean, talking phenomenal amounts of English lives lost through this system. And it's all deliberate. It all creates, you know, the revenue, the oil, whatever else there may be that they've got that they want. Maybe it be control of the banking system or whatever. And it isn't until you start realising that the way that you're being made to be angry and pointed at things and, you know, controlled in such a manner that you start to open up your eyes and view the world in a different way. We all have this ability. Nobody's, you know, people are at different stages of clever enough, but we all have an ability to become aware. All we have to do is just free our minds and, you know, switch off that TV. Because let's face it, everything you see on the TV is being created by someone else. But what you should do is never take what you see as being the truth. You should always find evidence yourself. So your evidence, you know, and how far you go into it, or your common sense comes into it sometimes because you can't actually be there, is all based on what you see. So if you're just watching the news, all you're going to get is that one-sided view, what somebody's made up. If you open your mind and you decide to actually do some research, maybe find some video evidence or friends who've seen this that you trust and things like that, you suddenly realise how little all these things actually matter and what's actually going on in this world today. You know, it's just like with soaps and things like that. You know, people sit down and watch soaps and take it in as being, you know, that's what happens. Look at what's happened here, look at what's happened there, and all they're doing is they're programming your mind to think in a certain way. So eventually, that becomes that becomes your life. You start reacting to things the same way as you see the people who've indoctrinated you on the soap operas. The way they speak to you, you find yourself speaking the same. And all this does, whether it be the mainstream media or social networking, anything where lots of people send lots of information to each other and they don't know if it's true, and they're just sharing the same stuff as they're fed. So when these news medias send you stuff, you automatically believe it as the same faces, and then you send that automatically onto other people. And what this is just bilging out the same rubbish as we're fed every day on the news. What we need to do is start doing research, start actually looking into things for ourselves, and try and find something that actually you can believe, that you can trust. And when you find that out to be a trustworthy source, then you can keep going back there, and you can keep finding out information there. Eventually, you'll be free. You'll be free from all this mind control and fear-based control. This will ultimately lead to you being totally liberated. I can't describe the feelings that you get when you know, like when you go outside your front door and you realise that this rubbish doesn't actually, it is all fear, it doesn't involve you at all. Yes, people might get to our shores and they may cross our shores, but we shouldn't go out and fight wars until people cross our shores. You know, there's got to be a different way in this world. We've got a conscious waking now, and a spiritual thing going on all around the world. And we all know it's going on because a lot of people are switching on now and connecting with their true self. They're finding out things and thinking in things in different ways than they ever have in their life. And this is a global thing, and we all need to fight this together. And you know, I just want to finish really by saying I'm no expert on all this stuff. All I'm doing is trying to send you some information that you may be able to pick bits out of, and then say, oh, you know, he's right, you know, or this is right, or that's right. Just make you question a few things and start gathering your own evidence. Anyway, thanks for watching. Bye.